She didn't get the job to make tips. She got it to get me. And the craziest part, she fucking succeeded. I used to think restaurant jobs were just stepping stones. You clock in, take orders, fake a smile, grab your tips, and head home reeking of fryer oil. Nothing more, nothing less. I'd been working at this mid-tier diner in Chicago for about a year, mostly to save up for grad school, and by then, thought I'd seen every flavor of crazy customers and messy coworkers. But then, she showed up. Her name was Melissa, mid-20s, brunette, sharp cheekbones, a smile that felt rehearsed, but still hit you like a slap of charm. She walked into the diner with that, "I know I don't belong here" energy, like she just stepped out of a fashion catalog and accidentally wandered into the greasy spoon universe we were all trapped in. The manager hired her on the spot. He always had a soft spot for pretty faces, and Melissa knew how to play that game. But her reason for being there wasn't money. Not at all. I didn't know it then, but Melissa had a target, and that target was me. At first, I thought I was just being paranoid. She started her training shift shadowing me, even though technically she should have been following one of the senior servers. But no, she trailed me like a shadow. She'd lean in close when I explained how to split checks, brush against my arm when grabbing menus. I'd catch her staring while I was punching in orders. You know that weird feeling when someone watches you just a beat too long? Yeah, that. "Guess I'm your new sidekick," she said with a wink on her first night. I laughed it off, thinking she was just flirty by nature. Some people are. But then the comments started stacking up. "You've got really steady hands. Bet that comes in handy outside of work. I heard you're in school. Bet you're smart in more ways than one. You live alone, right?" That one should have been my first real red flag. But I was 24, broke, and used to being invisible outside of customers yelling at me for cold fries. Having someone notice me, let alone a woman who looked like that, felt like winning the lottery. My friends used to joke that I had the charisma of wet cardboard. Suddenly, Melissa was giving me attention like I was some movie star. Things escalated fast. She started, accidentally, scheduling her breaks at the same time as mine. She'd slide into the booth across from me, sipping her iced tea, asking questions that went a little too deep. She wanted to know about my childhood, my EXEs, my future plans. It was like she was building a file on me. Still, I ate it up. Who wouldn't? One night, after closing, she caught me in the staff hallway by the lockers. Everyone else had left. The neon, "open 24 hours" sign buzzing faintly through the back door. She stepped way too close, her perfume sharp and sweet at the same time, and said, "You know I only took this job because of you, right?" I laughed nervously. "Yeah, sure. Oh, seriously?" Her eyes locked on mine, unblinking. I asked around. "Heard about you from someone I know. You're interesting, and I don't stop until I get what I want." That should have been my cue to run, or at least to ask what the hell she meant. But my dumb 20-something brain short-circuited. She leaned in, kissed me hard, like she'd been planning it forever, and then just walked away, tossing the "see you tomorrow" QT over her shoulder like nothing happened. I went home that night with my head spinning. I couldn't decide if I was flattered or freaked out. Part of me was terrified, like, who joins a shitty diner staff just to chase down one guy? But another part of me, the lonely, insecure part, felt wanted in a way I'd never felt before. And that part of me, it won the argument. I didn't tell my friends, didn't mention it to anyone. I just let Melissa pull me deeper into whatever game she was playing. The next few weeks were chaos. She'd slide notes into my apron pocket, stuff like, "thinking about you," or "you owe me a smoke after shift." She'd corner me in the walk-in cooler, press against me while pretending to grab a box of lettuce. Customers even noticed, asking if we were a couple. I laughed it off. But Melissa? She'd smirk and say something like that. The weirdest part? The manager loved her, even when she broke rules, like texting on the floor or disappearing for 15 minutes. He'd let it slide. She had everyone wrapped around her finger. Everyone except me, or so I thought. Because the truth is, I was already tangled in her web. I started losing focus at work. Burnt toast, wrong orders, missing side dishes. My head wasn't in the job anymore, it was all spinning around Melissa. She'd whisper things like, "I bet you'd follow me anywhere," and laugh when I blushed. She was testing me, pushing boundaries, and I didn't see it. Or maybe I didn't want to see it. Looking back, I realize I was the perfect mark. A broke kid with no self-esteem, no girlfriend, and nothing going for him but a beat-up Honda Civic and a crappy apartment. Melissa didn't need much to knock me off balance. Just attention, just a smile, just that look that made me feel like I was the only one in the room. But here's the thing. When someone tells you they don't stop until they get what they want, believe them. Because Melissa wasn't just flirting, she was plotting. And I was about to learn the hard way that being someone's target doesn't feel flattering at all. It feels like walking into a trap you never saw coming. The first real crack started to show one Saturday night. The diner was slammed, college kids filling booths after a game, drunk tourists demanding milkshakes, and the grill cook already on his third smoke break.
Now imagine what happens next. But before that, smash that like button and hit subscribe, cause the craziest part is just getting started.
I was barely keeping it together when Melissa leaned over me at the soda fountain, her lips so close to my ear and made me shiver. "You're mine tonight," she whispered. It was so bold, so blunt. I almost dropped the Sprite I was pouring. I tried to laugh it off, but she wasn't joking. All shift long, she kept finding excuses to touch me, brushing past, lingering fingers on my back, calling me babe in front of other servers. Some of them gave me side eyes, others snickered, like I'd finally gotten laid, and they were jealous. After closing, Melissa cornered me again by the lockers. Only this time, she wasn't playful. She looked almost determined. "You're coming with me," she said. Not asked, told. I froze. I should have said no, should have made an excuse, like I had to study or call my mom. But instead, I just nodded like some dumb puppet. And that was the night everything tipped. Her apartment was a 10-minute drive from the diner, small, but weirdly neat, almost staged. No clutter, no personal photos, no random junk, just spotless surfaces and a faint vanilla scent. I sat on the couch, stiff, while she poured us wine, like we'd been doing this for months. "You don't get it," she said, sliding next to me, her knee brushing mine. "Most guys bore me. They talk too much. They're selfish. But you," she tilted her head, studying me like a scientist watching a lab rat. "You're different. I knew it the moment I saw you." It should have felt flattering. Instead, it felt scripted, like she was reading lines from a play I hadn't agreed to be in. But when she leaned in and kissed me again, all my doubts got drowned out by the pounding in my chest. That night blurred into one of those reckless choices you only realize the weight of afterward. We hooked up, and afterward, lying in her bed, I felt this mix of pride and dread, like I'd crossed some invisible line I couldn't uncross. Work after that was a different beast. Melissa acted like nothing had changed, at least in front of others. She'd tease me, call me rookie, act all casual. But the second we were alone, it was a different story. She became territorial. If another waitress laughed at one of my dumb jokes, Melissa would appear out of nowhere, pressing herself against me like marking her territory. One afternoon, overheard her talking to another server in the break room. "Yeah, he's hooked," she said, loud enough for me to catch. "Told you I could get him." I froze, a plate of fries in my hand. Hooked? Get me? Like I was some kind of prize? When I confronted her later, she just smirked. "Relax. I was just messing with her. You're too easy, babe. Don't take everything so seriously." But I couldn't shake the unease. Was I just a challenge to her? Some weird game? The real tipping point came a week later. We were short-staffed, and I was juggling 5 tables when Melissa accidentally dropped a tray of drinks. Soda everywhere, customers pissed, me scrambling for towels. And while I was mopping up the mess, she leaned down, whispered, "You'd do anything for me, wouldn't you?" It didn't sound like a question. It sounded like a test. That night, she asked me to cover for her with the manager. Said she had an emergency, but really just wanted to skip her closing duties. I lied for her. Of course, I did. And the second I heard myself lying to cover her ass, I realized just how deep I'd fallen. I wasn't just Melissa's coworker. I was her pawn. The craziest part, she admitted it one night. We were sitting in her car, the city lights flickering through the windshield, and out of nowhere she said, "You know I picked you, right? Out of everyone. I wanted you, and I don't stop until I get what I want." There it was again. That same line she'd said on her first week. Only now, it didn't sound sexy. It sounded terrifying. I laughed nervously, trying to diffuse the tension. "Okay, but why me? I'm not exactly Mr. Perfect." She turned, eyes locked on mine. "That's exactly why. You don't even realize what you're worth. That makes you easy to mold." My stomach dropped. That was the moment I realized I wasn't in some fun workplace fling. I was in the middle of a trap one Melissa had built carefully, step by step, and I'd walked right into it. But here's the kicker, even knowing that, even feeling that pit in my stomach, I didn't pull away. Not yet. Because Melissa had this hold over me like a hook sunk deep, and no matter how hard I tried to tell myself I was done, I couldn't shake the thought. What happens when someone like her decides you're no longer fun to play with? And trust me, I was about to find out. The first time Melissa truly scared me wasn't when she whispered threats, or when she flaunted control like a queen ruling her pawn. No, it was the night she showed up where she shouldn't have been. I was out with a couple of friends from college, grabbing late-night tacos after a long study session, just chilling, laughing, trying to forget about the stress of exams and the insanity at the diner. Then, in some damn horror movie, Melissa strolled in. She wasn't dressed for casual, tight jeans, leather jacket, makeup done like she was heading to a club, not a hole-in-the-wall taco joint. And the way her eyes scanned the room, straight to me. "Babe," she said, sliding into the booth next to me before anyone could blink. "Didn't know you were out." My buddies exchanged looks. One of them raised his eyebrows, mouthing "babe" at me. I laughed awkwardly, trying to play it off. "Yeah, Melissa, this is..." But she wasn't interested in introductions. She draped her arm around my shoulder, leaned in way too close, and kissed my cheek like we were already living together. My friends went quiet. The air shifted. Suddenly, I wasn't just the guy hanging out, I was the guy with the intense, slightly unhinged coworker who just claimed me in front of everyone. Later that night, after she insisted on driving me home, Melissa exploded. "Why didn't you tell them about us?" she snapped, her hands gripping the steering wheel like she wanted to rip it off. "Because there isn't an us," I shot back. My voice shook, but I meant it. Her head whipped toward me, eyes blazing. "Don't you dare say that. You think you can use me and just walk away? You think I don't see the way you look at me?" I swallowed hard, wishing I'd just taken the bus. Work became hell after that. Melissa didn't just flirt or tease anymore. She weaponized everything. If I messed up an order, she'd tell the manager it was because I was distracted. If another server joked with me, she'd glare daggers until they backed off. One shift, she actually grabbed my phone off the counter, scrolled through it like she had every right. When I tried to snatch it back, she just smirked. "Relax, babe. If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about." I wanted to scream, but all I did was laugh nervously. Because the truth, I was worried. Things came to a head one Friday night. The diner was slammed again, and I was running on fumes. Melissa had been unusually quiet all shift, almost calm, which scared me more than her usual chaos. Then, halfway through my round of tables, I noticed something off. A couple sitting in my section whispered to each other while staring at me. Another table gave me weird looks, and then I saw it, Melissa, standing by the counter, talking to a group of customers, whispering, pointing at me. When I approached, she flashed a fake sweet smile. "Oh hey, babe. Just telling them how cute you look when you're stressed." But the way those customers looked at me, it wasn't playful. It was pitying, like she'd told them more than she let on. By the end of the shift, I was done. I cornered her by the lockers, voice shaking with anger. "What the hell are you doing?" She tilted her head, all innocence. "What do you mean? You're talking about me to customers. You're messing with my tables. You're in my personal life, Melissa. This has to stop." For a moment, her mask slipped, her smile faltered, and something darker crept into her eyes. "You don't get it, do you?" she whispered. "I don't stop. Once I want something, it's mine. And right now, you're mine." That night, lying awake in bed, I realized just how deep I'd let this go. What started as an ego boost, a hot coworker wanting me, had turned into a cage. Melissa didn't see me as a person. I was a possession. And the scariest part, I wasn't sure how to get out without blowing up my whole life. Because if Melissa was willing to humiliate me at work, to follow me outside of it, to claw her way into every corner of my existence, what would she do if I tried to cut her off completely? The next morning, I came into work early, hoping to dodge her. Instead, I found a note in my locker. "You can't run from me. Not here. Not anywhere. M." My hands shook as I crumpled it up. It was official. This wasn't just a fling gone wrong. This was an obsession. And if I didn't figure out a way to stop it soon, Melissa was going to make sure I regretted ever saying yes that first night. I thought ignoring Melissa would calm her down. That if I kept my head down, avoided her outside of work, and stuck strictly to professional talk, she'd eventually lose interest. I was dead wrong. If anything, my silence seemed to pour gasoline on her fire. She started showing up earlier than me, waiting by the lockers like a guard dog. She'd accidentally brush against me in the narrow kitchen, leaning in to whisper things I didn't want to hear. Once, she even scribbled her phone number on a napkin, slid it into my apron pocket, and winked like we were co-conspirators in some secret romance. The fucked up part? Everyone else at work started noticing. One night, after a brutal rush, I was stacking plates in the back when another server, Jenna, pulled me aside. She lowered her voice. "Hey, I don't want to stir the pot, but is Melissa your girlfriend or something?" I almost dropped the dishes. "What? No." Jenna gave me this look, half pity, half warning. "She tells people you two are together. Like, serious. And she's been kind of intense. You should be careful." Her words hit harder than I expected. It wasn't just me feeling the weight anymore. Melissa was spinning a whole narrative, and my coworkers were her audience. The final straw came on a Saturday night, when Melissa pushed things way too far. We had a group of college kids come in rowdy, drunk, loud. They tipped like shit, and made the shift 10 times harder than it needed to be. I tried to brush them off and keep working, but Melissa? She saw an opportunity. She strutted over to their table, leaned down, and said loud enough for the whole diner to hear, "Don't mind him. He's just in a bad mood cause I didn't let him stay over last night." The kids roared with laughter. My face went hot. I wanted to crawl into the floor. The manager even gave me a look like, "Is that true?" After the tables finally cleared, I stormed up to her. "What the hell is wrong with you?" She smiled, unapologetic. "Relax, babe. They loved it." "No," I snapped, my voice shaking. "This ends now. Whatever this game is, you stop. I'm not yours, Melissa. I never was." For a second, I thought I'd finally broken through. Her smile cracked, her face went pale, but then her expression hardened. She leaned in so close I could feel her breath on my ear. "You don't get to decide when it ends," she whispered. "I do." And then she walked off like nothing happened, leaving me trembling in the hallway. That night, I sat in my car long after my shift ended, staring at the steering wheel. I knew I had to do something, report her, quit something. But my brain kept spiraling. What if no one believed me? What if she twisted it around, made me look like the creep? Hell, she'd already convinced people we were together. I could feel the walls closing in. The next morning, I woke up to a notification on my phone. A new follower on Instagram. Melissa. I hadn't given her my handle. Hell, I hadn't posted anything in months, but there she was, liking pictures from 2 years ago, dropping comments like, "Cutie," and "My man." My stomach dropped. She wasn't just inside the diner anymore. She was in my phone, my personal space, and I couldn't shake the thought that it was only a matter of time before she pushed even further. By the time my next shift rolled around, I had made a decision. I was going to talk to my manager, but when I got to work, Melissa was already there, smiling like a cat who just cornered its prey. She leaned against the counter, arms folded, eyes locked on me. "Morning, babe," she said sweetly. "We need to talk." And in that moment, I knew whatever came next wasn't going to be simple. It was going to be war. Melissa cornered me in the break room before I could even clock in. She shut the door behind her and leaned against it like she owned the place. "We need to talk," she repeated, her voice syrupy but her eyes sharp. I crossed my arms. No, you need to stop. This whatever it is done. She tilted her head, almost amused. You think you can just walk away? After everything I've done for you? I laughed bitterly. Done for me? You've harassed me, embarrassed me in front of customers, and made up lies about us. That's not helping. That's toxic. Her smile didn't budge. If anything, it grew colder. Careful, she whispered. People believe me more than they believe you. One word from me, and this whole place will think you're the creep who can't keep his hands to himself. My stomach dropped. She wasn't bluffing, and she knew it. The shift that followed was torture. Every time I passed her, she brushed against me. Every order I tried to take, she swooped in, making small comments that hinted at something between us. Customers chuckled. Coworkers exchanged knowing glances. It felt like I was drowning, and she was the one holding me under. At one point, I ducked into the walk-in freezer just to breathe. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone. I typed and deleted a dozen messages to my manager, unsure of what to even say. Help! My coworker is harassing me, felt so weak, so easy to dismiss. By the time I walked out, Melissa was arms crossed, smirking. You hiding from me, babe? She teased. I clenched my fists. I'm serious, Melissa. If you don't stop, I'm reporting you. Her smirk faltered for just a second, then she stepped closer, lowering her voice. Do it. See who they believe, you or me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, heard her voice. I thought about Jenna's warning, and of the way Melissa spun stories so effortlessly. What if she already had people on her side? What if she turned everyone against me before I even had the chance to explain? By morning, I knew I had to act. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, I walked into the diner early, before the rush, and asked to see the manager. My heart pounded so hard I thought he could hear it. He looked up from his paperwork. What's up? I took a deep breath. It's Melissa. She's been harassing me, making up lies, telling people we're together when we're not. I can't take it anymore. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the room. My manager's brow furrowed. That's a serious accusation. No, I said quickly, but it's true. She's been making me uncomfortable for weeks. Ask Jenna. Ask anyone who's worked with us. He sighed, rubbing his temples. All right, I'll look into it, but you need to understand how messy this could get. Messy. That word echoed in my head as I left his office. Later that night, Melissa didn't speak to me once. She didn't touch me, didn't tease me. She just shot me looks sharp, dangerous. And for the first time, I realized something terrifying. She wasn't scared. She was planning her next move. The next morning, the air at the diner felt different. People glanced at me, then quickly looked away. Whispers followed me from the kitchen to the dining floor. Melissa had moved faster than I thought. By the time I grabbed my first coffee pot to start refills, I heard two cooks murmuring, "That's the guy." Yeah, Melissa said he wouldn't leave her alone. My stomach twisted. She'd beaten me to it. I tried to keep my head down, to just work, but every laugh, every sideways glance, every muttered comment burned into me. It didn't matter that I'd been the one harassed. In their eyes, I was already guilty. During the lunch rush, a couple of regulars waved me over. I forced a smile, pen ready, when one of them leaned in and whispered, "Man, leave the poor girl alone." It was like a punch to the gut. At the end of my shift, the manager called me into his office. His expression was tight, unreadable. "Look," he said, I don't know what's really going on between you two, but this place isn't a soap opera. Until we figure this out, I'm suspending both of you. Both of us." I wanted to scream, to flip his desk over. Instead, I just nodded numbly. Walking home, replayed everything in my head. The first joke she'd made, the way she'd wormed her way into my shifts, the threats, the smirks, the way she twisted reality until I doubted my own memory. And now I was suspended, my reputation trashed, and my job hanging by a thread. Here's the part that still haunts me. A week later, I heard Melissa had quit. Just like that. No warning, no explanation. She'd gotten what she wanted, the chaos, the control, and when she was done, she walked away clean. I was left with the ashes, Coworkers who avoided me, regulars who stopped coming to my section, a manager who no longer trusted me. So, was she obsessed? Or was I just a convenient game for her? I'll never know. But I do know this. Harassment isn't always loud, obvious, or easy to prove. Sometimes it hides behind fake smiles and harmless jokes until it rots you from the inside. And the worst part, even when you speak up, people don't always believe you. That was the last straw for me. I quit 2 weeks later, and sometimes, late at night, I still hear Melissa's voice, whispering in my ear, "See who they believe."